Yesterday, Saraji explained that in order to struggle oneself from the gravity of Kilesas defilements, one needs to practice the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi and Panya. By practicing Sila, by practicing morality, one refrains from transgression. One refrains from committing misconduct by body and speech. By practicing Sila, by practicing morality, one struggles oneself from the gravity of transgressive defilements, and thus the person becomes a genuine human. So the Dhamma uplifts the person so that the practitioner will not be pulled down by the gravity of defilements. So this is the benefit of practicing Sila, morality, and it is one's possession. When it becomes one's possession, one can make use of it, and it is said that the person is bearing the Dhamma. To overcome the Kilesas defilements that can manifest in the mind, one should practice Samadhi, concentration. One should practice Vipassana meditation, and one should be mindful of presently arising objects whenever they arise. As soon as the object arises, one should be noting them. When the object arises, one should note them right away, and there will be sustained mindfulness. The mind will fall calm and collected on the object. When the mind is calm, collected and unified, then the mind will not run elsewhere, the mind will not be stray. Based on the object that the yogi can note with sustained mindfulness, the mind will be calm and collected, and thus the mind is tranquil, calm. In order to keep the mind calm, collected and unified, there should be sustained mindfulness. One should exert ardent effort in order to note the presently arising object. One should exert ardent effort so that the noting mind is pushed towards the object of meditation, and the mind will be firmly established on the object of meditation. As much one exerts effort, the more the noting mind will stick onto the object of meditation, and it is called Pavadana. There is sustained mindfulness, continuous mindfulness that is established on the object of meditation. Having viriya, having effort does not accept Kilesas defilements from arising. Effort repels the Kilesas defilements. And also, effort blocks away the path of unwholesomeness and opens up the path of wholesomeness. The path of wholesomeness that has been opened, wholesomeness that has sati, mindfulness as chief, will arise. And if the person is mindful for 1 minute, there will be 60 moments of wholesomeness that has sati, mindfulness as chief. And in 5 minutes, there will be 300 moments. In 1 hour, there will be 3,600 moments of wholesomeness that has sati, mindfulness as chief. As much there is mindfulness, as much there is sustained mindfulness, Kilesas defilements have no chance to arise, and the mind will fall calm and collected on the object, and thus Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, is developed. When momentary concentration is developed, the mind is not agitated with raga, lust, or the mind is not agitated with dosa, anger, aversion. And thus the mind is calm and collected. There is momentary concentration. When there is momentary concentration, Priyuttana Kilesa, obsessive form of defilements that can arise by lack of mindfulness, has no chance to arise. So in this way, by developing samadhi, concentration, one frees oneself from Priyuttana Kilesa, obsessive form of defilement. When there is 1 minute of samadhi, when there is 1 minute of mindfulness, the person will be free from Priyuttana Kilesa for 60 moments. And if one develops samadhi for 1 hour, there will be 3,600 moments of being free from Priyuttana Kilesa, obsessive form of defilement. In this way, one can be free from gravity of Kilesa defilements momentarily. And if there is continuous overcoming of the Kilesa defilements, then the mindfulness will also become amazingly strong. When the mindfulness becomes amazingly strong, the mind is away from Kilesa defilements more and more. So the internal enmity, the defilements, cannot agitate the mind. The mind is away from the defilement enemy, and thus the mind is not agitated by these defilements. So in this way, Priyuttana Kilesa defilements, obsessive form of defilements, cannot pull the person. By developing samadhi, one is freeing oneself from the gravity of Priyuttana Kilesa, the gravity of obsessive defilements. And one should learn the method how to practice samadhi, how to practice concentration. As soon as the object arises, one should keep on noting them continuously with sustained mindfulness, with diligent effort. By learning the correct method of practice, not knowing will be overcome, and one becomes uplifted when one knows. So in this way, the Dhamma uplifts the practitioner who learns the Dhamma. And by practicing according to the method, one also becomes free from the gravity of defilement. By practicing the Dhamma, one bears the Dhamma. Being free from Kilesa defilements, the ability to free oneself from Kilesa defilement, gravity, is also one's own possession, and one can make use of them. So the gravity of Kilesa defilements become more and more distant, and thus the mind becomes pure and clean. Pure, clean mind is also one's own possession. So in this way, one should learn the correct method of practice. One should practice according to the method. One gets benefits by practicing, and one can make use of the benefits. In this way, one can free oneself from the gravity of Priyuttana Kilesa, from the gravity of obsessive defilements, and thus the person is uplifted. And Sayadaw will continue to explain that by practicing Panya Sikha, by practicing wisdom training, how even the refined form of defilements could be overcome. In order to know the truth distinctly, clearly. In Satipatthana, it is said as Atapi Sampajano Satima. Atapi is the person who has ardent effort in order to dry up the Kilesa moisture. By having ardent effort, one can dry up the Kilesa moisture momentarily. In order to dry up the Kilesa moisture, heat must be applied. With hot air, moisture can be dried up, or by ironing, moisture can dry up. In the same way, by exerting ardent effort, Kilesa moisture can be dried up. That's why yogi should not be cold or slack, but they should be active, alert, continuously, all the time. Yogis should exert ardent effort in noting the presently arising object, so that the mind will be calm and collected, and thus one will come to know the true nature. In order that the noting mind reaches the object of meditation, one should exert ardent effort in order to push the mind towards the object. Being able to exert ardent effort, the noting mind will stick onto the object, and thus sati, mindfulness, will develop, and concentration, samadhi, will also develop. When sati and samadhi develop, sampajanya, knowledge, will automatically arise, and the person is called sampajana. By applying vipassana jhana, it will be stronger. When objects such as rising and falling of the abdomen arises, one should aim the noting mind towards the object, so that the noting mind will be direct and concurrent with the object. One should aim and direct the noting mind towards the object, so that the noting mind will not slip away from the object. Aiming, directing the noting mind, this aiming and directing is the jhanic factor. When the noting mind is direct or face to face with the object, the mind will not go on to sensual objects. They will not be wanting to see good things, wanting to hear good sound, wanting to smell good fragrance, and so on. And also, one will not wish to kill others. One does not want to torment others. In this way, when the noting mind is face to face or direct with the object, there will not be wrongful thoughts. As the yogi aims the noting mind towards the object, when the yogi becomes skillful, the noting mind will automatically reach the object of meditation without having to aim for especially. It is the jhanic way. When viriya, sati, samadhi, when effort, mindfulness, and concentration are present, the noting mind is concurrent with the object. The noting mind falls calm and collected on the object, and thus the person comes to know the true nature, such as stiffness, tension, movement, and so on. So the person comes to know rupa, materiality, clearly and distinctly. And when there are other objects such as bending, stretching, turning, when the yogi is mindful, yogi comes to know the true nature, such as stiffness, tension, movement, hardness, softness, warmth, heat, cold, and so on. In this way, yogi comes to know distinctly, clearly. And also, yogi comes to know that the object is one thing and the noting mind is another. In this way, yogi comes to know distinctly between mind and matter. And as one continues to practice, yogi comes to understand cause and effect, and also that the object arises at one moment and passes away at another. In this way, yogi comes to understand impermanence. By knowing impermanence, yogi overcomes the wrong view of permanence. And also, yogi understands that things are suffering and things arise in their own accord. Apart from mind and matter, there is no self or soul. There is only mind and matter. What really exists is only mind and matter. There is no self or soul. In this way, yogi discerns clearly that there is no self involved, but there is only mind and matter. By understanding cause and effect, yogi overcomes the wrong view, believing in Mahabrahma, creator. When yogi understands impermanence, yogi overcomes the wrong view of permanent. When yogi understands things as suffering, yogi overcomes the wrong view, believing that things are pleasant. When one understands that things are happening in their own accord, one understands that there is no atta or self. In this way, yogi understands that there is only nama and rupa, mind and matter. Nama and rupa, mentality and materiality are not atta themselves, and there is no atta dwelling in nama rupa. In this way, yogi overcomes the wrong view of atta. If one does not know distinctly between mind and matter, one cannot overcome the wrong view of jiva atta. If one does not know cause and effect, one cannot overcome causeless view or fictitious wrong view. So in this way, one understands cause and effect, and one overcomes the wrong view, believing in creator. By understanding the impermanence, one overcomes the wrong view of permanence. In this way, by having knowledge, wrong view has no chance to arise. And thus, wrong view cannot be overcome just by imagination or speculation, but only by knowledge one can overcome wrong view. Sampajana means the person who has knowledge, and sampajanya is the knowledge. Sanchanya means knowing correctly, knowing completely in every aspect. When one discerns mind and matter, cause and effect, one understands very clearly, correctly, completely in every aspect. It is not the kind of knowledge that one gains through learning from teacher or from books, but it is through his or her own practice. And such knowledge is knowing correctly, completely in every aspect. Such kind of knowledge is not the kind of knowledge knowing in a confused way, but in a very clear-cut manner. And also, one knows distinctly, clearly, and outstandingly. And such kind of clear, complete, outstanding knowledge surpasses so many times than the kind of knowledge gained through learning from books or from teachers. In this way, by developing knowledge, one also overcomes wrong view and also one can eradicate latent or dormant form of defilements. By developing knowledge, one frees oneself from the gravity of latent or dormant form of defilements, and thus the Kilesas defilements that can manifest in the mind has no chance to arise. There will be no transgression whatsoever. Even the refined form of defilements are overcome when one develops knowledge. So by practicing Panya training, by practicing Panya, this Dhamma is uplifting the person so that the person can struggle oneself from the gravity of refined form of Kilesa defilement. In this way, one should learn the correct method, how to practice Panya, wisdom, and one should practice according to the method, and one can free oneself from refined form of defilements, and one's mind will become amazingly happy and joyous. And there are so many mental states one can possess when one attains knowledge. So in this way, practicing Panya Sikha, one develops knowledge, and this knowledge is one's own possession. Learning the correct method of practice, practicing according to the correct method, getting benefits by practice, one becomes uplifted and supported by the Dhamma. When one's knowledge becomes matured, the Dhamma can uplift the person so that the person will not be reborn in lower existences. So Buddha said that one should be mindful all the time. Apart from sleeping hours, one should be mindful continuously all the time, in every posture, walking, standing, sitting, lying, and so on. Whatever object arises in oneself, one should be mindful of the presently arising object. By being mindful of the object continuously, there will be sustained mindfulness. When there is sustained mindfulness, one will become Sampajana, the person who has knowledge. By having sustained mindfulness, knowledge will develop and one will know the truth. One will know the true nature of mind and matter, cause and effect, and the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self. One will develop knowledge stage by stage. So in order to develop stage by stage, one should be mindful continuously every single second. Buddha taught that one should be mindful continuously all the time. By being mindful continuously all the time, one develops knowledge. By being mindful, one can develop knowledge. Being mindful and developing knowledge is the teaching of the Buddha. By being mindful and by developing knowledge, one is said to be practicing the teaching of the Buddha. When one is being mindful and when one develops knowledge, there is Sila, Samadhi, Panya, the three trainings of morality, concentration, and wisdom. When one is being mindful, Samadhi, concentration, will automatically develop. In order to develop Sati and Samadhi, one should exert effort in the practice. One should aim the noting mind towards the object. Putting these two factors of aim and effort, sati, mindfulness will develop, and thus samadhi, concentration, will develop. When the noting mind falls direct with the object of meditation, knowledge will develop and one will become sambhajana. When there is sambhajana, when there is knowledge developed, analyzing this sambhajana, analyzing mindfulness and developing knowledge, there will be sila, samadhi, panya, the three trainings of morality, concentration and wisdom. By developing panya sikha, wisdom training, one can uproot kilesa, defilement. In Pali, it is called anusaya kilesa. Anusaya kilesa are the latent or dormant form of defilement that can arise at any moment when given opportunity. If one is not being mindful at the presently arising object, there will be lack of mindfulness. The mind will not be calm and collected. When the mind is not calm and collected, the mind slips away from the object, and thus the person will not come to know the true nature. The person will not know mind and matter or cause and effect. And there will be not knowing. Not knowing arises due to lack of mindfulness. Not knowing, it is defilement, latent or dormant form of defilement that arises when given opportunity. And in Pali, it is called upajanaraha, latent or dormant form of defilement, arise any moment when given opportunity. So by developing knowledge, one can overcome latent or dormant form of defilement. If there is lack of mindfulness, if the person fails or misses to know the object, when there is lack of mindfulness, latent, dormant form of defilement will have opportunity to arise. Kilesa defilement arise due to lack of mindfulness. Lack of mindfulness is the cause for defilements to arise. If there is lack of mindfulness, not knowing and knowing wrongly will arise. Thinking suffering as pleasant, one develops tamna, craving. If one does not know mind and matter, there will be wrong view of jiva, atta. Not knowing cause and effect, there is wrong view of Brahma, atta, supreme soul and creator. In this way, if there is not knowing, there will be also knowing wrongly, and there will be clinging with wrong view. When one knows correctly, when one develops knowledge, one will overcome vicikicca, skeptical doubt, and saddha, faith and confidence will develop. If one does not know the truth, there will be vicikicca, skeptical doubt. Not knowing nama and rupa, one believes in self and soul. Not knowing cause and effect, one believes in Mahabrahma, one believes in Supreme Soul and Creator. Not knowing the impermanence, one takes things as permanent. Not knowing things are suffering, one takes things as good and pleasant. Not knowing anatta, one takes that things happen according to the wish of atta. By being mindful, by knowing correctly, by developing knowledge, such wrong view, clinging with wrong view, has no chance to arise. That's why it is said that latent or dormant form of defilements which can arise at any moment when given opportunity, such latent or dormant form of defilements are overcome when one develops knowledge. By developing knowledge, one overcomes wrong view and clinging, and thus anusaya kilesa, latent or dormant form of defilements, are uprooted when one develops knowledge. It is best when one can eradicate all the defilements that can give trouble. But what is more important is to eradicate the defilements that are the worst. The worst Kilesa defilements are ditthi and vicikiccha, wrong view and skeptical doubt. Ditthi is the wrong view, as mentioned before, and vicikiccha is the skeptical doubt, having uncertainty because things are beyond one's knowledge. If things are beyond one's knowledge, one does not have faith and confidence, one will be uncertain about the object, and it is called vicikiccha, skeptical doubt. So this ditthi and vicikiccha, wrong view and skeptical doubt, are the worst defilements that can pull down the person the most. So it is very important to eradicate the two worst defilements, namely ditthi and vicikiccha. Ditthi and vicikiccha are the major illnesses. Buddha gave ways how to overcome defilements partially, how to overcome defilements stage by stage, and how to totally overcome defilements. There are 3 stages of Kilesa defilements, and Buddha prescribed 3 kinds of medicine in order to cure 3 stages of defilements. Defilements have 3 stages: Videkama Kilesa, transgressive defilements that can manifest in body and speech; Priyuttana Kilesa, obsessive defilements that can manifest in the mind; and Anusaya Kilesa, latent or dormant form of defilements, which can arise whenever they are given opportunity. In order to overcome 3 stages of defilements, Buddha had given 3 methods. By practicing sila, morality, one can overcome Videkama Kilesa, transgressive defilements. By practicing samadhi, concentration, one can overcome Priyuttana Kilesa, obsessive defilements. And by developing Vipassana Panya and Magga Panya, insight knowledge and path knowledge, one can overcome Anusaya Kilesa, latent, dormant form of defilement. Buddha had prescribed 3 kinds of medicine, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, in order to cure 3 stages of Kilesa illness. A patient who wants to cure his or her illness needs to take prescribed medicine at proper times and regularly. In the same way, yogi who wants to be cured from Kilesa illness needs to take Buddha's medicine, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, in order to cure 3 stages of defilements. Buddha is compared to a skillful physician. Just as a physician prescribes medicine in order to cure diseases and illnesses, in the same way, Buddha prescribed Sila, Samadhi, Panya, the three medicine, in order to overcome three stages of Kilesa, illness. By taking the three kinds of medicine prescribed by the Buddha, one can cure one's illnesses, defilement illnesses. So Buddha was compared to a skillful physician. And Sayadaw gives an example. If one has malaria, one has very high fever. A physician gives treatment to the patient with malaria with appropriate medicine. When the patient takes the medicine, the fever becomes lower and lower, but still the patient has fever from time to time. When the patient still has fever, malaria has not been totally cured. But finally, when the fever does not arise, then the malaria is totally cured. In the same way, when Kilesa defilements do not arise, even though one comes across Kilesa inciting objects, then one can take that one has eradicated Anusya Kilesa. And today, it is all for today. Sayadaw will continue to explain tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.